Okay, folks, it's 6:33, so we are going to get started and welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are thrilled you're here. Appreciate you taking the time on this Tuesday, Wednesday, what are we? Tuesday night. Um, Seniors, this is just an exciting time in your lives and parents and guardians. An exciting time in all of your lives. So we're thrilled you're here. Thanks for joining us for our college information night. We are recording this, so if you have to step out for a moment, don't worry. We're going to post this recording as soon as it's available on our website tomorrow. And that's our reminder to record. So without any further ado, we're going to get our evening started. And I'm going to hand the mic to Miss Heckert, who is here, and I'll hand it over to her.
Thank you. Good evening. I love to see so many families here this evening. I think I've even seen some students hop on, which is also excellent to see. And hopefully everyone is having a great school year. As Mr. Yarma said, my name is Brandy Heckert, and I'm one of the assistant principals. We have a very large administrative team of 8 at Seneca. So I specifically oversee all of our senior activities. And so I'm excited to be here this evening. This is a very exciting time for our students as they're transitioning to their post-high school careers and education facilities. So I'm very excited. You guys are in phenomenal hands with Mr. Nalda, Mr. Grinley, and Mr. Yarmus. They are a wealth of information, and we're so fortunate to have them here tonight. And we can't wait to be able to engage in this conversation about what's next and how to help. These are all of our other assistant principals that support our students, as well as Mr. Hernandez, our principal, and Ms. Riddick, our business administrator. And as I said, I oversee most of the 12th grade activities, but our administrators are broken down by alphabet. So if your students have last names of ST through Z, they're technically on my caseload, but you'll see me throughout the senior year of our students. So thank you all so much for being here, and we can't wait to have a great night with you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Heckert, for taking your time and being here to support this night. We appreciate it. Folks, I'm going to go over quickly the agenda for the night and give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering. First, we're going to introduce to you the counseling team. We have a few of us here tonight. We're going to do a quick review of graduation requirements. We're so excited you all will be the seniors that are here tonight. We'll be crossing that stage in either late May or early June. So we're going to just go over the requirements for that. We're obviously going to get into the exciting topic that we're all here for, which is to talk about the college application process and life after high school. And in that, we'll go over using Naviance, this powerful tool that we use to navigate this process. We'll talk about standardized testing, a bit about NCAA athletics. We'll hear about financial aid and forms and fee waivers, and we'll close out the night. I want to quickly introduce to you our school counselors here at Seneca Valley. We have a dynamic team, and I hope the seniors that are on our meeting tonight have gotten to know your counselor. We have 11 of us. You can see their faces. I'll tell you their names again. We have Miss Fellows, Miss Seeley. I'm going to let Mr. Grinley introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone. I am Chris Grinley. I'm one of our counselors. My group of students and families' last name ranges from CORE through GAN.
Thanks, Mr. Gridley. We have Ms. Kozarowski, Ms. Harrison, Mrs. West, Mrs. Cole, Mr. Singh, Mr. Martinez, Ms. Ruiz, who works with our EML students, levels 1 through 3, and myself. Great group of counselors, and we are all here always to support you all and help make this a wonderful year for you. Also, there are a bunch of other wonderful folks who work in the counseling services team. You see their faces, but I'm going to let Mr. Nalda introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm fortunate to work with everybody who's a senior and a junior. So I'm here to assist you with any resources that you may need if you have any questions. And it's a pleasure to work with Ms. Heckert and our wonderful counseling department. Thank you again for joining us.
As the night goes on, no doubt you might have some questions. Hopefully, we'll answer your questions during our presentation tonight. If we don't answer your question, please go ahead and type it into the chat. We are going to compile any questions that we receive from the chat into a question bin. We'll post that bin on our college and career website tomorrow. So hopefully, again, your questions will be answered, but if not, you'll find the answer tomorrow. We like to start this night by taking a quick look back at the achievements of our graduating class last year. Seneca Valley is a school that continues to rise, and our college admissions is an exemplar of that. Last year, we have students who were accepted and committed to schools like Brown University, University of Pennsylvania, UC Berkeley, Johns Hopkins. We have so many students at the University of Maryland this year, UMBC, GW, American, Virginia Tech, all sorts of great schools that you see on the screen here, and many, many others. NC State, I have a son who's a freshman there, so I like to point that one out. We're just so proud of our students, and we are getting proud of you, our seniors, because we know you're going to go on to some really great things and get into some great schools and really pursue wonderful stuff next year. Seneca Valley reached new heights with our scholarships and financial aid received. And we are so proud and amazed that our students received last year over $12 million in scholarships. That's a pretty astounding number. We have many students who receive full ride scholarships, the entire price of their tuition and living expenses paid. Students who receive that at University of Maryland, Boston College, Northwestern, and other schools, in addition to multiple students who receive the MCPS Educational Foundation, the Rail Scholarship. Those are $10,000 awards. So proud of our students. So thankful for the work Mr. Nalda has done with scholarships and supporting our students. So we're looking forward to achieving $13 million or more this year. Let's make that happen. Gonna step back for 1 second here because you seniors are still in high school, right? We're talking about college tonight and life after high school, but first we have to graduate high school. And so it's worth a very quick review while I have a captive audience here about the credits that you must earn to graduate from high school. Hopefully, seniors, you're aware of the remaining credits that you have to graduate this year. But if not, a quick review. Every student has to earn 4 English credits and 4 math credits, which includes an algebra and a geometry credit in addition to 2 other math credits. Students legally have to be in a math class every year that they're in high school, even though students that have gone beyond 4 required math credits. Students have to earn 3 science credits, including biology and chemistry and or physics or an IB science. 3 social studies credits, including U.S. history, national, state, local government, and either modern world history or IB history. 1 credit in fine arts, 1 credit in technology, 1 physical education credit, 1 health credit. Those of you who have older siblings who graduated in the past, remember the days of a half health credit, and that is gone. You all are part of the group who need 1 full health credit and 2 world language credits in the same world language, or 2 credits in or to complete a program of study as an alternative to world language. And with that 2 credits of a world language, students need 2 credits of electives, and students who complete a POS, it's a half credit elective. In addition to all the required coursework, students have to earn 75 SSL hours and complete their MCAP testing. That's the state mandated testing in those 4 subject areas. If students, families, if you have any questions about your remaining graduation requirements, the courses that you're in, please get in touch with your counselor. That's what we're here for, is to make sure you're comfortable and feeling on track with your graduation requirements this year. So we know that there are many options for life after high school. Tonight, our focus is, of course, for this presentation on college application process. But we could have folks in this audience for whom that's not necessarily the plan or not the plan right now, and that's okay. So tonight we're again, focusing on college, but we know that students might choose to pursue a career in the military or attending a trade school after high school, joining the workforce immediately, pursuing an apprenticeship, an internship, choosing to take a gap year. And those are all wonderful options. And your counselor and our counseling team is here to support you with whatever option you are pursuing after Seneca Valley. But again, to bring our focus into the college and university world, many of you are very familiar with this information, but we think it's worth revisiting and understanding a bit about the difference between four-year schools and two-year schools. So when we talk about four-year universities, those are schools like the University of Maryland, Towson University, Salisbury University, Johns Hopkins University. In four-year school, students would typically achieve a bachelor's degree, right? As opposed to two-year colleges, Montgomery College being our local example of that, in which students achieve an associate's degree. Of course, we have students who are taking dual enrollment classes while in high school. Some of you might even be in the early college program and pursuing an associate's degree while in high school. An amazing thing. And then there's another major difference between public universities and private universities. So public universities, of course, schools like University of Maryland and Towson, those schools receive the bulk of their funding from the state government. And private universities like Georgetown or Johns Hopkins are schools that operate as educational nonprofits. So their primary funding source is a state government. There's often a perceived price difference between public and private university, although that can be a bit of a myth sometimes. So we want students to keep your options open, public, private, and not be dissuaded from applying to several different places, as financial aid can come in many different ways. Want to take a moment to highlight for you a pathway that many students at Seneca Valley have chosen in the past. It's the Montgomery College to USG pathway. This is an amazing opportunity, amazing path for students to, in an affordable way, graduate ultimately from a four-year university like the University of Maryland or Towson, but do so in a way that can save sometimes up to $50,000, $60,000 for families. Some people think of this as a 2+2 pathway. Students in this pathway start at Montgomery College. So apply from Seneca Valley directly into Montgomery College and attend Montgomery College for 2 years. And then while at Montgomery College, apply to the USG pathway and end up taking classes at the Rockville campus of USG at one of 9 Maryland public universities. So for example, a student can take classes at the University of Maryland, at University of Shady Grove, through the University of Maryland or Towson or Salisbury, on the campus there in Rockville. But at the end of 2 years after that, can graduate with a degree from the University of Maryland at a fraction of the price. So if you have questions or you're interested in this pathway, please reach out to Mr. Nalder, reach out to your counselor, and we'll help you navigate that. I'm going to talk for just a bit more, and then I'm going to hand it over. But I want to first show you that the college application process is one that can feel overwhelming, can seem complex. I went through it with my oldest son last year. But here at Seneca Valley, we've worked really hard to try to demystify the process, to simplify the process, to make it a very linear process. So we have some wonderful resources, all of which are available on our website. So if you don't kind of get everything in this presentation, that's all right. Mr. Nalda is also coming out again to your senior English classes to go through this process, and everything is available on our website. But I first want to kind of point out to you the website. So if you went to Seneca Valley and clicked on the College and Career Center tab, it would bring you to Mr. Nalda's wonderful site. And the sort of highlight resource that we have is the SVHS College Application Packet. So when you go there, you click on the packet, it's going to take you to a document that has step-by-step instructions for what you need to do to get through the college application process. And if you'd like a printed out copy, come on into counseling and we'll print one out for you, or to Mr. Nalda. But we highly recommend you use the digital version online, because every step of the packet has links, live links that'll take you to all these different sites and spots. So these are the highlights, the overview of this process. Again, when you look at the sheet, you'll see it all spelled out for you. And we're going to break down each of these steps throughout the presentation tonight. So step one, if there is a step one, would be to look at our process sheet. Okay, again, that's your guiding tool. My son, even though we live in Frederick County, their high school did not have a process like this. He used the Seneca Valley process, and it was instrumental in his success and kind of staying organized. So it was good for my son. I highly recommend it for you as well. So use that as your guiding tool, and don't skip steps. The steps are numbered. We encourage you to move through the steps in order. So next thing is to investigate schools you're interested in. That's obviously a big part of the college application process, is figuring out where to apply. There are some wonderful tools in Naviance that we've come into classes with and gone over. The Super Match tool is one that we highly recommend. Another wonderful way at Seneca to learn about different colleges is to have a conversation with a staff member at Seneca who attended a college. We maintain a pretty comprehensive list of staff who attended all the different colleges and universities around. Check that out. There's over 300 entries on that sheet. You can find out where Mr. Nalda went to school, or Ms. Heckert went to school, or Mr. Grinley went to school, and have a conversation with them if it matches a school you're interested in. We'll talk a lot more about Naviance tonight. Naviance is a critical piece of the college application process, both for research and for communicating directly with colleges. So we'll talk about that more a little bit. We highly recommend staying organized. Mr. Nalda created a wonderful application tracking tool that you can use to stay organized and keep track of the schools you're applying to. Seniors, if you haven't already identified one or two teachers who would be willing to write you a letter of recommendation, that's something to start thinking about. We'll talk about that later. Your brag sheet is a critical piece of that process. Mr. Gridley is going to talk about the brag sheet and how to submit it. We recommend that you're working on your college essays right now. The Common App prompts are available for all. We'll hear about that. And you'll also, of course, have to formally request letters of recommendations for Naviance. We'll talk about that. Mr. Granley will talk about the common application. And I'll talk a bit later about matching Common App and Naviance, how to request transcripts. Mr. Nalda will talk about standardized testing and sending scores to schools. Gonna just point out, seniors, if you haven't already completed the post-secondary interest form, that's an in-house thing that we rely on you to do to kind of keep your counselor informed with where you are in the college process. So if you haven't done that yet, touch base with your counselor and fill that out. Mr. Nalda will talk a bit later about FAFSA and MD caps and all that great stuff. And we'll remind you, of course, seniors, if you tune out by the end of this presentation, don't forget that this year is really important for you. So we know and expect that you'll be going to all your classes, you'll be excelling and getting those good grades. They're going to wow the colleges you're applying to. We hope you stay involved with extracurriculars and get your SSL hours done and exceed the SSL requirement. And lastly, when this process is over, we can't wait for you to get accepted to a whole bunch of good schools and celebrate that with your families. So that being said, I'm going to take a break and turn it over to Mr. Grinley.
Thank you. So, as Mr. Yarmus said, the brag sheet is a critical part in the beginning stages of the college application process. So if you're applying to any colleges that do require letters of recommendation, we ask that you complete the brag sheet and you submit that to your counselor and your teacher via the brag sheet Google submission form. So if you already have a brag sheet from an IB class or another class, you can definitely use that one as well. Just remember to send that to your counselor. And we use the brag sheet when we are writing your letter of recommendation. That's why it's critical that we have that. All right, so completing and submitting each college application to each desired college. So you want to complete and submit college applications to each desired college and adhere to all application deadlines and pay any applicable fees or request fee waivers if eligible. So it's important to do your research on schools and understand when the application deadlines are and what fees might be associated with that. So with that said, organization is key. You can use the college application tracker that Mr. Nauta has created to help you stay organized. Obviously, you want to work on the earliest deadlines first. So there's a few October 15th deadlines. There are several November 1st deadlines. So definitely pay attention to application deadlines. Once you're ready to submit your application, please go ahead and submit it. You do not have to wait for a teacher or a counselor to submit supplemental documents. So when you're ready, make sure you go ahead and submit that by application deadlines. And then if you plan to apply to Montgomery College and no other college, you can apply directly on their website. They have their own application process. Typically, students start applying to Montgomery College around October of their senior year. And if you've taken dual enrollment classes while you were in high school, you might already have a M number. You don't need to submit another application. If you do that, it does create complications sometimes. So if you have an M number from dual enrollment classes, you'll reach out to MC through Raptor Central to get assistance for that. So let's talk about the types of college applications. So the main application type is going to be the Common Application. We call it Common App for short. So it's used by over 900 colleges and universities in the United States and all over the world. For many colleges that you're going to apply to, the Common App is the only application that you'll have to submit. So you'll fill out one application. It'll go to several different colleges. This application is linked to your Naviance account, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And a student must match their Naviance account to their Common App account and waive FERPA. So by waiving FERPA, it allows us to send your letter of recommendation, your transcript, and other information directly to colleges and universities that you're applying to. And when you do create your Common App account, please make sure that you use a personal and professional email. Do not use your school email address. So for our seniors that we have on this Zoom call tonight, during lunch for the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be hosting Common App support sessions in the College and Career Center, Mr. Nalda's room. So you can see the dates on the screen now. Our next Common App support session will be October 1st during lunch. And continuing with the different types of college applications, we do have the Common Black College application. So if you're interested in applying to HBCUs, this is a great opportunity to apply to over 60 HBCUs for just $20. Note Howard, Bowie, and Hampton don't use the Common Black application, but if you are interested in exploring HBCUs, this is a great way to apply to all of them for a low cost. And then we also have school-specific applications. So some schools don't use Common App. When you're doing your research on schools, you'll realize which schools those are, and they have their own specific instructions on how to apply through their website. So there are different types of application deadlines. So that's another thing that you pay attention to when you're doing your research. The main ones that you will see are early action, early decision, regular decision, priority deadlines, and rolling decision. So of those 5, there are a few that are considered non-binding. So non-binding applications are non-restricting, and you can apply to other institutions, and you have until May 1st to consider those options and decide where you want to go to school. So some examples of non-binding deadlines are early action, which is also known as EA, or priority deadlines. So you apply early and you receive a decision well in advance of the school's regular response date. Students interested in the University of Maryland, it's very important that you apply by the early action deadline, the priority deadline of November 1st, to give yourself the best opportunity to be accepted to that school. Another application type is regular decision. So with regular decision, you submit your application by a specified date, and then you receive a decision in a clearly stated period of time. And there's also rolling admission. This is where schools review applications as they're submitted, and they give you your decision throughout the admission cycle. The other type of deadline is considered a binding deadline. So with binding deadlines, students are responsible for determining and following restrictions. So if you see early decision, most likely that may be a binding decision. And when you do that, you're making a commitment to your first choice school, where if you do get accepted, you'll definitely enroll. So the application deadline and the decision deadline occur early typically, and you are saying yes to acceptance regardless of cost, financial aid, or other factors. Once you accept, you're expected to attend. Typically, when we see students applying early decision, we'll have a conversation with them to make sure that that's the type of application that they want to do.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Grinley. I'm gonna continue here and just spend a few minutes talking about Naviance. Students that are on this program tonight and parents and guardians, Naviance for many years throughout school, students perceive as sort of a tool. It has some interesting features and programs, but for the college application process, Naviance becomes a critical piece of the application process. It's the tool that the school uses to transmit documents electronically to the colleges and universities that students are applying to. So it kind of changes from this sort of fun, useful thing to this essential piece. So it's critical that students are getting on Naviance and are following the processes that need to be followed to use it to make this process work for them. So first step when we use Naviance is making sure you know how to get onto it. And one of the most common questions that Mr. Nalden, Mr. Grinley, myself, counselors would get will be like, hey, I forgot my Naviance password. Okay, well, MCPS fixed that several years ago by eliminating the need for students to have a password. Students, all you need to do to get onto your Naviance account is to open up your Chromebook, to make sure that you are logged into your MCPS account. A simple way to do that is by going into your school email, your mcps.net Gmail. You'll know that you're in your MCPS account by seeing that MCPS logo on the top right. Very often students are not on their MCPS Gmail account. So that's step one, going on to your Gmail, your MCPS Gmail. Locating that little Google waffle that has 9 circles and clicking on that. And we highly recommend, even though Naviance is accessible through your cell phone, it is much better to do this stuff on your Chromebook or on a laptop when it comes to college applications. And you get to that Google waffle, you'll see a drop down bunch of options, and you'll see this star for Naviance. That's all you have to do is then click on that and you'll automatically be logged in. Okay, so no password needed, no special sign-in needed. All you have to do is be on your MCPS account on your Chromebook and click on the Naviance icon. Okay. There's a load of resources available in Naviance, and we highly recommend you check some of them out. There's videos that will take you through all of the processes we're going to outline briefly here. Things like matching Common App, requesting transcripts, setting your attending school, editing your list of colleges, all that stuff. When you have some free time, go on there, watch a quick video. They're really well done. And they'll help you understand these steps very easily. One of the critical steps that you'll do is updating your list of colleges you're applying to. In the colleges I'm applying to screen, many of you students already have schools listed that you've compiled through the years in Naviance under the colleges I'm thinking about screen. But for the college application process, you're going to have to move those schools or identify schools under the colleges I'm applying to tab. And we're going to show you what that looks like. And we're also going to talk about matching your Common App with Naviance. That's a critical piece. So as you research and identify colleges you're interested in, let's say you're interested in Clemson, you're interested in the University of Delaware and Elon and Georgia. You're going to add those schools simply by, it's very intuitive in Naviance. You'll click on the plus button and add them to the colleges I'm applying to list. If the schools already exist in your colleges I'm thinking about list, you're just going to click on a button to move them to the colleges I'm applying to list. And once you've done that, you're going to see a screen that looks like this with some nice little information, what type of application. You'll see a little CA icon that's going to indicate a Common App, whether your materials have been submitted or not, what the deadlines are, the application deadlines. And across the top of your Naviance colleges I'm applying to screen, you'll see a really important tab that will either say your Common App account has been matched or is not matched. For Naviance and Common App to work together, you have to do a process called matching. And once you've matched, I'll talk about that a bit more in a second, you're going to need to give Seneca Valley permission to transmit documents on your behalf to the schools you're applying to by doing what's called signing the FERPA waiver. That's a privacy waiver that allows us to send documents to schools about you. To do that, you're going to go into your Common App account and click on the My Colleges tab. You'll choose any college that you've added into Common App. Click on the Recommenders and FERPA button. There's a little picture of that in the top right of this screen. You'll click on the View Release Authorization button and agree, sign your name. That's going to allow Naviance and Common App to communicate, and it's going to allow Seneca Valley to send your transcript and the school portfolio profile and things like that to letters of recommendation to the schools you're applying to. Okay, I'm going to kick it back to Mr. Grinley. He'll talk about letters of rec.
All right, yeah. So picking back up with letters of recommendation. So when it comes to letters of recommendation, you want to determine if the college requires teacher recommendations by visiting the school's website and doing your research on the school. If they do require letters of rec, you want to pay attention to how many they require and if they're asking for core academic teachers. Once you have this information, be sure to ask your teacher verbally, and then you want to request the recommendation letter via Naviance, and then follow up in person or via email. We're asking that you give teachers about 2 weeks notice before the application deadline so that they have time to write a well thought out letter for you. Regarding counselor recommendation letters, so we write recommendations for all seniors applying to colleges. Counselor recommendations are different from teacher recommendations. So again, with the brag sheet, you'll submit your brag sheet and we'll use that information to help us write your letter of recommendation. Your school profile is also something that we send with your counselor letter. Regarding letters of recommendation from your counselor, you don't need to request that from us. Essentially, when you submit your brag sheet, that is signifying that you are applying to a school that requires a letter of recommendation. Montgomery College is one school that does not require letters of recommendation. So if you are sure about going to MC, you do not need to submit a brag sheet. Okay, so again, in Naviance, to request your transcript, you're going to follow the instructions in the college application packet, and you'll request an initial and mid-year transcript. So when you do that, that is telling us that you are serious about applying to a school, and then we will continue the process on the back end and send the school profile, the letter of recommendation, and the other documents that the school requests. So the college application process timeline. So right now we are in the fall of your senior year. So these are some things that you should be doing and thinking about now and over the next couple months. So for the first thing you want to do is follow up with your teachers regarding letters of recommendation, again, at least 2 weeks before the deadline. As I just said, you want to request your transcript via Naviance and submit your college applications through the appropriate portals, whether that's Common App or the Common Black app or directly through the school. You also want to complete a FAFSA application. That's going to begin December 1st. So just put that on your radar. Starting December 1st, you can do the FAFSA application, which is a application that determines your financial need through the government. You will also fill out the MD CAPS financial aid application if you plan to attend any school in the state of Maryland. And then here at the bottom, you see some common deadlines for applications. They are October 15th, November 1st, November 15th, December 1st, and January 1st. And then all throughout first semester, you want to be looking for scholarships to help you supplement the cost of attending college. And then as we move into second semester, so starting around January through the end of the school year, of course, you want to maintain high grades as schools will get your mid-year and final transcript. So make sure that you finish strong. Also, keeping good grades helps you with your merit-based scholarship opportunities. So you want to remember to continue to strive for A's and B's in all your classes. During this time, decisions and financial aid packages will start rolling in, so pay attention to those through email or mail. So definitely check your email and your spam for admissions decisions. And then you'll make your decision by the latest May 1st. And then you'll prepare for any out-of-pocket costs like housing and acceptance deposits. And again, during the second semester of senior year, you'll be going through the process of looking for scholarships and applying for scholarships. And then athletics. So if we have any students on the call tonight that are interested in playing a sport at the collegiate level, you will need to know a little bit more about the athletic process. So there's different levels. There's Division I, there's Division II, and there is Division III. Division I and II require a certification account, and you can reach out to your counselor, Mr. Nalda, for more information for that. Division III doesn't require a certification account, but it does require a profile. So regardless if you plan on playing D1, 2, or 3, you will need to create some sort of account. So if that is you, come talk to your counselor or Mr. Nalda, and we can give you more information about playing a sport in college.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grinley. I'll start off here talking about college testing. Depending on which colleges you're applying to, you may or may not need to submit an SAT or ACT score. So just keep in mind, and this is also on the college application process document, that it is the student's responsibility to submit these scores. So for example, SAT, you would go through the College Board, and ACT, you would submit through act.org. Depending on the colleges as well and their policy, you may want to make that decision depending on your test score average. If you fall within their test score average, then a lot of times your counselor or me will suggest that you send that score. If you don't fit the average and it's test optional, no sweat, you just don't send the score. But again, those are individual questions for individual colleges. So if you have questions about that, you can certainly reach out to us. Depending on when you've arrived in the United States and maybe you haven't taken 4 years of English, you may also be required to submit a test of English as a foreign language, either TOEFL or Duolingo. Again, you can reach out to us for more questions. In general, if you are interested in applying to Montgomery College, depending on your grades or your GPA, you may also need to sit for an AccuPlacer test, which is basically a test to test your levels of math and English to see if you're college ready. Questions about that, you can certainly reach out to us, but that all depends on your GPA, and that will be part of your application process for Montgomery College. Just one quick link there was test prep. Sorry, Mr. Yarmus, but we can utilize some free test prep for Khan Academy. And there's also other information on our website. Farms and fee waivers. So depending on your family's financial situation, one example is if you qualify for free or reduced lunch, you may qualify or you will qualify for an application fee waiver. Typically for the 4-year schools, they charge between $50 to $75 for each application. But if you have an application fee waiver, then we can get that waived. Okay. There's also other benefits if you qualify for that fee waiver. For example, you can also get waivers to take the SAT or the ACT. And also, Mr. Greenlee talked about the certification accounts. For D1 and D2 athletes, there is a fee associated with creating that certification account. This needs to be created before you make an official visit to campuses to try to get recruited for schools. So that fee can also be waived. And then in certain cases, for your deposit fee, if you qualify for free or reduced lunch or you do get a waiver, they may also waive that deposit fee, which in general, that deposit fee basically holds your spot for you to go into the fall. And if you write a letter to them with this status, they may waive that as well. Now onto the big one, which is financial aid. All right, so there's different types of financial aid, and we want everyone to pay attention and apply to as many of these opportunities as you qualify for and that you're eligible for. So starting off with grants or scholarships, this is aid in general that does not have to be repaid. These are based on lots of different factors, including financial need, academic ability, athletic talent, leadership. There's lots of scholarships out there for lots of different factors, and we encourage students to apply to as many scholarships, again, as they are interested in and they qualify for and that they're eligible for. So go ahead and take a look at our website, look at our weekly notes, because we send many opportunities on a weekly basis, and check the larger list on our website. Student work study. This means that when you fill out the FAFSA, and I'll go more into that later, this simply means that another word for this is federal work study. This means that you can get a job on campus. Maybe you get a job at the dining hall, you get a job in the cafeteria, the admissions office, but instead of getting paid, they pay you in the form of giving you financial aid. So there will be a question on the FAFSA asking students, are you interested in federal or student work study? We strongly suggest that of the 3 options of yes, maybe, and no, that you select yes or maybe. Okay, that way you can at least consider the opportunity, look for a job on campus and get that extra financial aid. If you say no, then they think you're not interested and that opportunity will not be available until you go back and change it later. So we strongly suggest that you select yes or maybe for those 2 options. The last one is the one we don't like to talk about, but in general, many students do need to take out student loans to help you pay for school, and that is technically a form of financial aid, but we try to get students to qualify for as much merit-based aid and apply to lots of outside scholarships to reduce or minimize the amount of loans that you have to take. FAFSA, so this is the free application for federal student aid. So this is aid that comes from the federal government. This is based on your family's financial situation, the household income based on your taxes. Okay, we strongly encourage every student that is eligible to fill out the FAFSA, and there's lots of different reasons why. The main reason is you may qualify for something called a Pell Grant. Now, with this being a federal award, you can take this award to any college in the country, some outside of the country that accept the FAFSA. With it being federal, again, colleges can be in-state or out-of-state. So apply for it and see what you qualify for. Students will begin to, with full functionality, start filling this out December 1. We're hearing that October 1st is a soft opening, but we're strongly encouraging for students to be ready by December 1st, because that's what we anticipate it being ready in full operational mode. So that way, you know, if you go early, you'll avoid some issues. So just be ready to go December 1. Put that in on your radar, put that on your calendar. And students that are seniors will fill out the 25-26 FAFSA, because that's the first year they will be in college. In general, the Maryland State deadline every year is March 1st for having completed the FAFSA, but we encourage students to fill this out by January 1st, as many colleges need that information earlier. I would say to be safe by January 1 to start creating those financial aid award packets. So not only are you considered for acceptance to a college or university, you're also considered for any merit-based aid that the school has to offer, or need-based aid in the form of FAFSA. So because they look at your household income and they see based on need any aid that they could offer you. So getting this in early will help them get you this financial aid package early. Okay. There are some sites, if you accidentally go to FAFSA.com or other places that charge you a fee. Remember, part of the name of FAFSA is free. So please do not pay to fill out the FAFSA. Come to us, come to me. We have lots of resources for you. So don't pay for FAFSA or don't pay anyone to fill that out for you. We'll help you. If you plan to attend a college or university or have those on your radar in the state of Maryland, you should also create an MDCAPS account. So we'll talk about state aid right now. So MDCAPS, which stands for the Maryland College Application Processing System, through the Maryland Higher Education Commission. This is financial aid from the state of Maryland. What's nice about this form is that the hard form is the FAFSA form, but there is no separate Maryland FAFSA. All you have to do is fill out your basic information, and based on your social security number, they're going to link your FAFSA information to the state of Maryland. They determine those numbers to see if you qualify for aid from the state. Again, the Maryland state deadline is March 1st. Keep in mind that for some of the awards from the state of Maryland, there is a minimum GPA requirement. Some of it is 2.5 for some awards, some are 2.3. But again, as we look into the individual awards, we can answer those questions. Sometimes there's additional documentation that's required from your counselor. It's supplemental forms and also a transcript that you may need to upload into your account. When the time comes, you reach out to us, reach out to me, and I can provide a copy of your transcript so you can upload directly into this account. So again, you're creating that FAFSA form on your FAFSA account, and you're creating this Maryland State MDCAPS login page to get to attempt to try to get that state aid. Now, for students that aren't eligible, that aren't permanent residents or qualified citizens of the United States, they can still fill out state aid in the form of the MHEC One app. The good thing about the MHEC One app is that you still qualify for many of the state awards that many of the students that fill out the FAFSA do as well. So you may qualify, and this allows children of undocumented immigrants to qualify for in-state tuition and also many, again, of the state awards. So if you have questions about that in terms of eligibility, you can reach out to us and we can figure out which form works for you. So it's either one of you or other. If you fill out the FAFSA, you don't fill out the MHEC One, and vice versa. If you fill out the MHEC One, you can't fill out the FAFSA, just to be clear on that. Here's just an example of some of the awards that are offered to the state. On the page before, I don't know if you noticed, but the maximum for the federal was $7,395, or a little bit under $8,000. The guaranteed access grant is up to $22,100. So if you qualify for both of those awards, that's a good amount of money to help you pay for school. Now, keep in mind that anything that's a Maryland-based award, you have to attend school in the state of Maryland. Or another way to say this is you can't take your Maryland money outside of the state of Maryland. So keep that in mind. There's a couple other options here, like a 2+2 transfer scholarship. They have a partnership with MC. There's part-time grants for students who go part-time. There's another big one here is Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship, especially for students that are considering Montgomery College. Let's say you fill out the FAFSA and you don't qualify for a grant, but you may fill out the state form and qualify for the Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship because that's a different income level to be eligible for that. So fill out all your forms. That's my biggest piece of advice, or our biggest piece of advice. Fill out all the forms, see what you qualify for, and then we see what that net cost will be for colleges. Net meaning cost of college, subtracting your financial aid versus other scholarships, and see what those college costs may actually be. A couple of other scholarships here. The delegate and the senatorial scholarship. This is based on where you live, so your home address. Each of you have a senator, state senator, and a local delegate, depending on your district. Now, Seneca Valley is interesting because we are split between multiple districts. So we're between District 15 and District 39, and maybe if you travel to us for one of our special career programs, you may live in an entirely different district. Point being is I would strongly suggest that you reach out to all of your elected officials, see when their scholarships are available, and apply to any and all that you qualify for. That's additional aid if you plan on going to school in the state of Maryland. CSS profile. So besides the FAFSA, this is a deeper dive into a family's finances. You'll typically see the CSS profile required for many of the Ivy League schools and a lot of the private schools. So if you see yourself come across the CSS profile and you have to complete this, this can be found at the College Board website under CSS profile. In general, there is a fee to fill out the application, but the income threshold is actually $100,000. So if your family makes $100,000 or less, you can reach out for a fee waiver to submit that CSS profile. And then there are some additional documentation or additional documents that you need to submit. We put everything in our college application process document, for example, institutional documentation service, this IDoc service that you need to work with CSS profile, but all the instructions are there if you do have to fill that out for private schools. Okay, just a quick difference between merit versus need-based scholarships. So merit's based on a student's accomplishments in the high school, grades, okay, successes in high school, GPA, test scores, where need-based is based on the family income, and that's where the FAFSA comes in. All right, so college scholarships in general, we have those outside scholarships that we apply to. We have scholarships that you may be considered for when you submit for application, and those will come in the form of award letters. So like I said before, when you receive an acceptance, you will also receive an award letter letting you know if you've qualified for any type of need, whether it's financial need in the terms of merit-based or need-based. Sometimes the award letter comes at the same time as the acceptance letter. Some schools send it separately. It just depends on when they send versus the time that you filled out that FAFSA. So get that FAFSA in early. Other ways to find scholarships, just check out our website, review our weekly notes. I strongly suggest all students, if they haven't done so already, take a look at those bottom two links. I send those out to a lot of students. They're in the weekly notes, FastWeb and Going Merry. These are profile-based scholarship sites. So basically they match you based on how you answer questions, interests, schools. So take advantage of those opportunities. One more quick thing, which is a nice option for some students. The differences between in-state and out-of-state tuition. Mr. Yarmus may have touched on this briefly earlier in the presentation, but for public universities, there is a difference that they charge in-state versus out-of-state tuition. Maryland is a partner with the Southern Regional Education Board, and the basic idea behind the academic common market, we're partners, we as in the state of Maryland, is that if there's a particular unique program or major that you find as part of this SREB or Southern Regional Education Board, and the state of Maryland doesn't offer that unique major, you can go to an out-of-state school that offers that major at the rate of in-state tuition. So if you go and explore this website, this could be an additional opportunity for students to go out of state for in-state prices and save some money. So if you do find a special major or program of interest, you can apply through this avenue here using this website, the SREB, or another word for that is the Academic Common Market. Okay, just real quick, I'm sure most of you know this already since you're seniors, and juniors and seniors are welcome to come to college visits. We have college and career rep visits that come to Seneca. Advantages of these, you'll learn more about the universities. Many times, the reps that come to visit and talk about their schools are the same folks that are reviewing your application, so you can network, you can meet these people. Also, in some cases, last week, a couple different times, if you came to the visit, the rep actually gave students fee waiver codes, and they didn't even ask if they qualified or not. So they just write on the back of their business card, they said, hey, thank you for coming and learning more about our school. Here's a fee waiver, and you could get that covered for you. So just another benefit for some of these college and career rep visits to Seneca Valley, besides learning about the school, their application process, and financial aid. Okay, we also schedule military recruiters, employers that are looking for students to apply for jobs, lots of opportunities, so check those out on the website. And then, is this you, Mr. Yarmus, or should I take care of it? Okay, got it. Hispanic College Fair Field Trip. For those students that are still looking for colleges or want to learn more about colleges, we have a special College Fair Field Trip next Friday, October 4th. Even though it's called the Hispanic College Fair, students of all ethnicities are welcome to attend. This is for students 11th and 12th. So make sure that you take a look at all the information here. Come and get a permission slip from me. Again, those are due this Friday at noon. This Friday is a half day, so that's the end of the day on Friday. You can get all that information in. So if you're interested in joining us on that field trip, please come and get that field trip permission slip in before Friday. And as part of the Hispanic College Fair, I'll send more information about this in the weekly notes and a separate email. There's a couple different financial aid workshops that'll take a deeper dive into what I just talked about, give some tips, give some advice, more information specifically about FAFSA, CSS profile, the MISFA or the MHEC One app, that's another word for MISFA. And then there will be a session that will be entirely Spanish for those families that speak Spanish.
Thanks, Mr. Nalda. And as we wrap up here, I just want to first, I want to give my deep thanks to Ms. Heckert, Mr. Nalda, Mr. Grinley for taking time out of their nights to be with us and share this wonderful information for you all. We hope you found the information useful and helpful. And we are all so excited here at Seneca to support you and your students in this very exciting part of their journey. So please reach out to Counselor, Mr. Nalda, with questions. Remember that we'll be posting a recording on the website tomorrow. We'll be answering all the questions that were posted in the chat. Those will be available on the website as well in a question bin that you'll see tomorrow. And thank you all so much and have a great night.